What's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. Today I am here with a profile from the PPG online invitational event. I'm here with Peter and Chris, who got 4th and 2nd place respectively. These two teammates both chose to play Vegeks. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, you mate.
Gotcha. I know I just talked about the talking over thing. We already got off to a funny stuff, but that's okay. We'll clean it up as we go through the profile. So again, I know you guys are teammates. I know you guys worked on this deck list together. So Peter, why don't you go first? Tell us why you wanted to play Vegex. Because what's funny is I know you were here last time doing the Invoker profile. So now you've made a pretty drastic shift to aggro in terms of Vegex. So what made you guys hop onto Vegex?
Yeah, so you're 100% right. As I said before, I'm 100% control player. But as the weeks were sort of counting down to PPG, I didn't have any faith in Invoker. I was like, playtesting loads, and then Chris basically made this version of Vegex, and it was just destroying me. There was no way, and I was like, nah. I think so. I made the choice to sort of put Invoker aside, and then basically practice how to be aggro, basically. And yeah, that's the reason I kind of changed. I didn't feel like Invoker was gonna win me the tournament, basically.
Interesting. So you basically made an entire playstyle shift. So Chris, it seems like you have kind of created this deck. Vegex has obviously seen a ton of nerfs over the past several sets, right? So why was Vegex like your aggro deck of choice instead of like I don't know, Red Broly, Reboot Gohan, something like that?
Well, I used to play a lot of Dark Broly, and I still do. But I played like in a European tournament. It's European Extravaganza. And then I played Dark Broly, and I faced a Vegex player there. And I thought that the deck was really good. Obviously, I heard that it has been nerfed. So I just started playing Dragon Ball before Christmas again. So I didn't play Vegex actually when it was at its peak. But I thought the deck was really cool with all the free stuff you can do. And for me, it seems like it's still really broken, even though I can't imagine how good the deck was when it was on its peak. But yeah, so I just took it to. I actually came 16 on the. There was a card market tournament, official Bandai card market tournament, and then I just continued to play with the deck and did some small fixes on the way. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. The deck is still insanely good. Like it plays free battle cards. You can never kind of go wrong with that, right? But yeah, the deck before the nerfs definitely was really, really insane. But yeah, I think it's still a really solid deck. It's funny. I like that Vegex is at a comfortable power level right now because we don't see it dominating top cuts like we did just a few sets ago. So it is pretty nice that it seems to be at a much better power level. But it's still a really, really strong deck for sure. So these are the time agents, the Kai, the Unison. Of course, we play 4 copies of all these. There's nothing really to talk about here. But I do want to ask you, Chris. So recently, the Vegex builds that have been doing well have been the Catapesla Vegex builds. So I am curious, just a little bit of a spoiler, this is not a Catapesla Vegex build. Did you ever try that build out? What do you think about it?
Well, to be honest, I've looked at the deck profile, but I haven't really tried it because I think that the strong points of this Vegex, like maybe further you'll also ask why I didn't make the deck above 50. I just think that trying to play with 50 cards to make it more consistent and just try to have the essential pieces is the best way to go with this deck. I don't know, I just think it was so broken already when I tested it with 50 pieces, so yeah.
Yeah, and playing free cards is definitely pretty solid. Peter, how about you? Have you tried the I know you're not much of an aggro player, but have you tried the Catapesla engine, and what do you think about it versus just the pure Vegex deck?
Yeah, in this case, I actually have, because I loved the engine in Soul Striker. So for me, I already had it, and I really enjoyed it when I played it in Soul Striker as more of a midi range. To be honest, I thought it was too slow. Like, I know other people have done well with it, but like we're killing people, turn 2, turn 3, depending on what deck it is, or even where that doesn't really kick off, like with the new support cards turn 4, and So yeah, I think it's too slow. I think it's actually slower than this personally, but maybe I'm just not playing it right.
No, it definitely makes sense. Like if you're going for a super early kill, then yeah, then the turn 4 definitely is a bit slower. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool to hear the difference. It seems like this is a much faster paced version of Vegex than the Catapestle engine. And that makes sense because you guys play a lot of 1-drop attackers, right? So of course we got our 4 super combos, but besides that, we have 4 Dark Power Black Mass Sand, 4 Goku True Fighting Spirit. And honestly, even though Vegex is really nerfed right now, it feels like, you know, being able to main deck these cards that hit so many decks, it feels like this is one of the reasons why Vegex is able to do so well, because you just main deck a ton of silver bullets that also help you be aggressive, right? It's really interesting. So, Peter, why don't you go first? Did you ever just, like, you know, stick these cards and they almost just won you the game on their own? Like, BMS 2, it feels like is even falling a bit out of favor, but there's still decks it's good against. So, how effective are these cards in terms of, like, their floodgate ability?
Amazing. I mean, the short answer is amazing, but the long, again, when I was playing like Invoker against Chris and he was playing these 1-drops, well, obviously more like Fighting Spirit and then the Vegeta, which we have in the side, that just, you start negging so many cards. So against like control decks, like the Fighting Spirit and the Vegeta Fighting Spirit, they're awesome. You know, just constantly negging cards each time you want to use a counter or untap. And then obviously Black Mass Saint's just generally an awesome card. You know, in the mirror, in Piccolo, just generally an amazing card anyway. So to be fair, they're obviously good because they're hitters, they're self-awakeners, and they're just awesome.
Yeah, they just serve like a ton of different purposes, right?
Yeah.
And then we have our Overwhelm lineup. So we've got 3 Fighting Against Fates. Sorry for the blurry image, but luckily it's not a lot of text on there, just dual text. So then we have 3 Mira Assault from the Skies, and we have 4 Demon God, Demigod, True Power, Unleashed. So I like this Overwhelm lineup a lot. Mira definitely very aggressive. Bardock very aggressive. Demigod makes me feel like, you know, this is almost like a mid-rangier version of Vegex, but at the same time, like, because you're not playing the Catapestle stuff, it's definitely more aggressive. So Chris, what were some matchups where you just, like, you really want to get Demigod and that's like your main way to win? Were there any matchups that were kind of like that?
Well, the reason Demigod is in the deck is to deal with the harder matchups for Vegex. So I think that Sin Shenron is a pretty hard matchup because they having access to the blocker that has 30k or everything is so big, it's kind of hard to go through it. So
right.
It's easier to just remove it with Demigra. And also Launch is pretty bad matchup as well, at least the tricolor one, so Demigra helps a lot there. So you only try to mulligan for Demigra if you're against the hard matchups, otherwise these are the 2 others are the go-to overwhelms you want.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know it's the same thing because I play Dark Broly a fair amount, and, like, you know, there are some really defensive decks that can kind of stall you out and give you kind of a problem, but Demigod just swinging with it every turn and making your opponent lose cards, especially when they're trying to negate, like, it's just really, really strong. One question I want to ask you guys, and Chris, you can answer this first. With being 50 cards and playing so much Overwhelm, was the deck reloading effect ever a problem, or were you guys just, like, never playing for that?
Well, it depends. Like because it's a 50-card deck, you need to you need to start with an Overwhelm in your hand, and you need to make sure that you Overwhelm early. Right. Because if the game drags too far, you need to try to refill your deck, and how you can do that is by, for example, trying to combo extra so you get exactly 20 in your drop area, and taking some life that you can combo as well. So it's mostly in the late game you have to make a decision. Do you want to go for game and don't care about the reshuffling effect, or do you want to try to get the reshuffling yet for maybe get another turn? So it's like, actually that's the hardest part about playing this Vegex, because multiple times I always find that I have 2-3 cards left, and then I have to make the decision if I want to go for the refill or if I want to go for game.
Gotcha. And Peter, how did you feel about the 50-card version making it a little bit more difficult to get the reload effect?
Yeah, so one thing I had to learn early on when I was playtesting it was, like, your first Overwhelm, you pretty much, like, you need the exact... So, for example, if I was going to do Mira, I don't want to be doing Mira if I've got 15 cards in the drop. I want to be doing it when I've got 7 or maybe 8. So one thing I learned early on is, depending on which Overwhelm I want to do, is I've got to make sure that I'm not, like, going over too much on the Overwhelm, because if you do, then you're going to be in the world of hurt. I mean, I personally wanted to increase the deck size because I didn't like 50. However, Chris kept telling me otherwise. So, yeah. But ultimately, I would love the deck to be bigger because, like Chris said, problem sometimes out, and this is the skillful side to the deck as well, where you have to like go, okay, if I'm going to overwhelm now, how am I going to get 20 cards back in? Or am I just going for the game, basically? Am I going to overwhelm this turn and then overwhelm next turn and hope for the best, so to speak?
Right,
Or,
yeah. We've seen that kind of issue with Vegeks a lot, where people just want to increase the deck size to 55 to 60 just to have like that longevity, but at the same time, like you're cutting the consistency. So that actually is like a pretty big problem with Vegeks. But it's cool when players kind of take a different approach to it, and it kind of works out for them, Then we have the Spring Kai Time, Space Time Unraveler. So I believe Chris's second place list played this secret rare, and Peter, I believe you played the Heroine's Lineage, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I am kind of curious to know, Peter, the differences, at least how you felt. I believe the issue was like accessibility, and I think you said you would have played Kai if you had it, but you played Heroine anyway, and a lot of topping lists for that weekend actually played Heroine's Lineage. So how did that card perform for you overall versus something like Space Time Unraveler?
Amazing. I would never consider any other ultimates.
Oh wow! So you wouldn't even go back to Kai if you had the opportunity?
No. It's like. It's like me and Chris always talk about. It's like against black. Like if you go in for a double strike, you've got Brainwash to worry about. Fair enough, Vegeks doesn't always pack that card, but like I remember against Eddie, which was on stream. Like I stole 2 of his like basically potential game-winning cards that was going to like try and kill me. And I've had a few games like that where. Someone was swinging triple strike for game, I'll just steal it. Like it's actually for again, maybe it's the control player inside of me, but for me it saved my life so many times that and it's aggressive as well because you can steal that blocker and then go in for game, or steal something big and then attack them on your turn. Like
yeah, I think that is really cool. Like, it makes me really happy actually that so many lists topped with that card in the deck. Like even like a red Broly list I saw was playing it as well, and that's really cool because I like the fact that a budget SCR is only about whatever $60 to $80, which compared to every other SCR is a great price. I like that card's doing well because a lot of players get discouraged having to shell out $300-$400 for a secret rare. I do like that a lot, so I'm glad to hear that for sure. And then we just come to like the big hitters in the deck: 3 Champa and 1 Kraken Space Time. I kind of get it, sometimes you want that leader swing to be really, really big, but did you ever just kind of wish that 1 Kraken Space Time was the 4th Champa, Chris?
Well, the reason the Kraken Space Time is here because sometimes you have a real bad hand and you need a charge target, so Kraken Space Time can be a good charge target. And also as well, it can be a little bit better on the defense side. It didn't happen to me in the tournament, but yeah, at least you have also 15k defense for your leader, so that's another point. And the reason there is 1 Kraken Space Time here is because your Demigra is Dark Overwhelm 5, so you should sometimes when you mill, you'll be happy if you see a Kraken Space Time milled instead of a Fertile Instruction Champa.
Oh, cool. Okay, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot. The flexibility of being a black card, also pretty nice defensively. Definitely makes a lot of sense. All right, so going into the sideboard here, the ones that make immediate sense to me: the 4 True Fighting Spirit, excellent against blue decks; the Bardock Tenacious, excellent against the Mirror Match, excellent against anything else aggressive like Dark Broly. Definitely curious about the 1 Remote Serious Bomb.
Well, yeah. So actually, the Remote Serious Bomb is actually there because we were predicting more BMS because Piccolo has won so many events. But yeah, so it's just a turn 1 answer for BMS if they play it against you. I didn't have access to the heroic strike that Peter's run. So I just ran with Remote Serious Bomb instead. Otherwise, it was just a charge target. I didn't use it all day. So,
gotcha. And then Peter, just to re-jog my memory, because this is Chris's sideboard. I know yours is a bit different. The Heroic Strike, that's the heroic extra card from like set 8 or something. What does it do again?
Yeah, so it's so good because we had it in there for two reasons. Black Massane, but it's also great against the launch matchup because you give your leader 10k boost, so it's one energy, well, one black, well, technically one anything, and you can kill a 2 cost or less battle card.
Okay.
So obviously they swing in with Piccolo. Let's say it's for game. Again, I've got the options to steal it with my SCR, or I've got the options to kill it. It just gives you so much safety. Or again, a turn 1 Black Mass saying you can kill. It's so good.
Gotcha. That actually seems like a really good sideboard tech that I'm sure not a lot of people are thinking about, so that's really cool. And then Chris, the 3 Heavenly Wizard Demigra, was that mostly for Dark Broly or anything else?
This was specifically sided in against Sun Shenron.
Okay, for
because
the 9 drop.
Yes, for the 9 drop, and also because they sometimes can get the barrier on the 8 drop for Oceanus, and then it's just multiple times you can just try to bait out with a leader attack or a small dude, and then they usually don't block, and then you can punish them really hard by comboing with Heavily Wizard Demigra.
Okay, cool. It makes a lot of sense for sure. And then the 4 Secret ID. 4 seems like a lot, but what did you think you needed like 4 for? Was there some matchup where you're just like, I need this card several turns? Like, what was the deal with 4 copies?
Well, in the matchups where the Demigra was bad, you usually just take in the 4 Secret Identity because it doesn't cost any energy, so it's just easier to place to hold energy up. And as well, it's like really good in the mirror. It's really good against the small decks, and it's also a good BMS sensor. So
okay, cool. And then Peter, were there any other side deck differences that you had in your build?
Yeah, so I went with the one-off Brainwash. So I didn't have 4 Secret Identities. I had 1 Brainwash, mostly because I only own 1 anyway. But I was a bit concerned about maybe some of the VS, because obviously the Sal VS has been obviously making a bit of waves, and I was thinking, maybe I'll side it in for, say, again, Shenron or something that's going to get Salzino really quickly, and or the VS deck. So I kind of put it in there, but to be fair, I didn't use it all day. So
Gotcha. So last parting questions. Chris, anything about the deck, the main or the side, that you would change after this weekend, or would you say it was really solid?
Well, the Secreter, I actually wanted to play the Heroine's lineage, but I didn't have access to it because
I see. Okay.
I think it's definitely the better Secret Rare for this deck, because usually the Kai is mostly just another 40k beater for 1 energy, but the Hero's lineage creates so much pressure. It's like, I know when I played against Peter in both the Swiss rounds, and we played each other in the semifinals. And it's like playing around the Secret Rare all the time is really a hassle when they have Hero's lineage. So I would definitely change that, and of course the 1 remote serious bomb for the heroic strike instead.
Okay, very cool. Peter, anything you would change, or were you very happy with the deck?
Very happy. I think the only thing I would change in the side is the Brainwash. I'm not really sure what I'd put in. I don't think I would go with the 4th Secret Identity. I think 3 is fine. So whether or not I would go with an extra heroic strike or something else, I'm not sure. But the Brainwash. But I think one thing I would like to do with the deck is test it with more cards. But that's just because I wanted more cards. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I would change. Realistically, it's probably going to stay at 50. But yeah.
All right, cool. So Chris, I'll let you go first. Any shout outs you want to throw out there?
Well, I want to shout out to Eddie from Team Foe, because when I started to play Dragon Ball again, I contacted him and he helped me a lot with the Dark Broly deck. And of course, I want to shout out to the rest of the players here in Norway. We're a really small community, but we try our best, so always good.
Very cool. Peter, take it away.
Yeah, so shout out to our team, which is Team Northstar, where kind of me and Chris met up, and obviously we've been doing really well together with, and obviously the other guys are getting better and better. Obviously shout out to Chris, because without him I definitely wouldn't be talking to you at 4th place. I'd probably have jobbed out on Invoker. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Chris's help and support. And obviously always thanks to my brother for getting me into the game and cheering me on, and everyone else that's cheered me on.
Very cool, man. All right, guys, thank you for your time. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.